outside of a moving object, not on...
Oh, you wouldn't make it off the train would be gone and you'd fall off. Of course, yeah, because you have wind resistance.
But then, okay, well, that's more like what this ball story is. You're on the outside of a moving object, not on the inside of some contained environment.
We are in the inside of some contained environment because you can see that there's an environment that exists above you. That environment is the sky, the clouds, these systems that you're seeing. We're not up there, but they're moving.
Is it contained? So it's contained
in its own way. In its own way, that's
what's it contained by?
It's contained by the different temperatures that exist and the jet streams that exist.
Temperature
clouds don't reach us. The closest thing we have to clouds is fog in the morning.
Temperatures don't contain things. Temperatures don't contain things.
Neither do jet streams.
The lack of heat is not a container for gas, or the amount of heat.
The amount of heat can change which way the direction of the wind blows, though. I mean, it's what creates tornadoes.
Wind is not a container for gas.
Yeah, wind would be the gas moving around. A flow of pressure.
And those pressures would not exist without containment.
Yeah, like the pressure systems. You've heard them talking about the pressure systems when it comes to weather.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's a contained pressurized system with all these mini pressure systems moving around inside of it.
Correct.
You see?
And we are inside of that. And you just said relative to being on something.
Yeah,
so we are inside of
the pressure. Yeah. We know you have to have a pressurized. Yeah, to have a pressurized system, you have to have a physical container. But on the globe, you don't have a physical container.
You kind of do, though, because you just admitted to it.
No. On the globe, there's no physical container for the gas. It's just it goes out to a vacuum. Remember? In the textbooks, there was no big glass sphere around the Earth. It was just in space.
Exactly. There's no firmament. Yes, there is no firmament.
So in the globe, there's no container for the gas.
Broken.
You see?
Yes, but
you need a container.
Pressure systems exist.
Yes, so there must be a container for the pressure.
No, because there's certain gases that are light and certain gases that are heavy.
Yeah, and to pressurize them, you need a container. Yeah.
I don't understand gas theory enough to be able to I don't understand gas theory enough to be able to debate that. So you guys could be right in that instance. I don't know how to debate that.
Well, you could look up the definition of gas pressure, and it would tell you that gas pressure is the force exerted by the gas on the walls of its container. You could look into that.
But I mean, you'd have to give me a minute. It needs to be about something that I don't know about. You know what I mean? Or that I don't believe.
You're a wise man. You're a wise man. And listen, I'm not arguing. This is just what it is. I mean, you don't. It's not really something to. I can just start
spitting out words about what I believe as far as gas, and I have some common knowledge of it, but I don't understand pressure systems, how they should or how they do work within our atmosphere.
Yeah, that's fine. That's cool. Well, that's something for you to look into. Just gas pressure generally, and it's pretty intuitive. Like you'll understand it. Air in a balloon, air in a tire. Deodorant in a can. All the examples of gas pressure that you've ever experienced are in a contained vessel.
I mean,
so why would we be any different?
What about cave divers, for example? Cave divers go into caves, and certain caves will have high carbon monoxide levels that if you get down below a certain level, you could die because there's not enough oxygen in there. What's creating that pressure system in there different from the fact that oxygen exists around us in the world? Even though the system's not closed, there's an open cave.
Well, caves can make their own little gas pressure environment.
Yeah, they're making the gas, so it has to come from somewhere.
But it's still an open container. It's not
Yeah, it's leaving the container, though.
The gas can go through the ground.
Yeah,
the gas
it is,
will rise
though,
up.
because it's being made there. Get it? Though?
Yeah, the gas flows out into the larger available space.
There's still open caves.
It's still being made there.
Opening of a
Still
cave.
being made there.
There's no oxygen being made there, but oxygen exists
it's
everywhere
correct.
around us.
It's because it's just coming in from air pressure. Yep. Isn't that amazing how that works?
No, that doesn't explain how air pressure works to me, in my knowledge. That doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make logical sense to say that.
It's being created there.
It's not being created there. Oxygen, that's what's not happening.
It's being created.
Not being created there.
Not the oxygen.
But our planet's made up of it, and it's inside of our system, and it's
not in the
system. So why is it not in the cave? Explain to me why oxygen's not in the cave when it's an open system.
Well, hold on a second. I don't even know what you're asking at this point. What are you trying to appeal to? The fact that there is pressure, or that there are different gases?
I'm just saying that because there are different gases and we have gases that exist all around us, that doesn't explain that we are on that we aren't in some kind of system that is capless.
Well, no, because
we are in a system that is capped. Because we actually need the container. Yeah, we do. Yeah, there's.
You're breaking up a bit there.
You're breaking up, bro.
So if you're finding that gas in the cave, that means that's where it's being created. And they're mixing. That's why you get some oxygen in there, too. They're mixing around. It's being created in there and leaving also. It's crazy how that works. What don't you understand about that?
What I don't understand is why is there no oxygen in that cave? If this is a closed system, then why is that cave cut off to the oxygen that exists in this closed container?
Because it's being made down somewhere in the cave and collecting there and leaving from that point. Not just shooting out it's not shooting out at the speed of light.
I know, but so you say oxygen is escaping.
There's not none, dude. There's just less.
Yeah, I was going to say, I assume you've not actually quantified how much oxygen there is in whichever cave you're thinking about, but I'm assuming that there's not none, and that it's just a lower amount than usual because of its environment. But either way, dude, I mean, that's kind of non sequitur to the point, which is that if there's gas pressure at all, there must be containment, because you can't have any kind of gas pressure system existing in its own little contained system in a vacuum. Well, that just doesn't happen.
The caves
that's the main point,
themselves contained is what I'm getting at. So if they're not...
Well, if they're in a total contained system overall, then they are. It's all contained. Because there's pressure. Do you understand that point about the general pressure system of Earth needing containment?
I posted the gas cycle for them. Yeah, I posted a gas cycle for you so you can see how it works, in case you didn't understand.
Yeah, have you heard of a terrarium?
Yes, but you can have a terrarium without having a closed system.
Well, then it wouldn't be a terrarium, because your terrarium, you're in an enclosed system.
Yeah, you know what would happen? You have to water it then.
Yes.
Yeah, but in a closed one, you don't have to do any of that. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, because in the closed system, the gas and water cycles will naturally occur.
This picture that he posted proves whoever just said that wrong, because I'm showing you precipitation, and that's not coming from a close, and so we are being watered by the cloud.
No, that's occurring in the closed system. Yeah, the gas and water cycle occurs in the terrarium. It doesn't come down like clouds and rain, maybe, but yeah, it's occurring.
Unless you think there's some guy in the sky pouring water down on us every now and then. Is that what you think?
Are you going to knock my Christianity belief?
No.
Yeah, I guess so. Since yeah, I guess I am. Since now you think there's a globe out there and a guy pours water on it. So hey, more power to you.
He's watering us. He's watering his pets. Okay.
Well, no, but hey, listen. The point is, in the terrarium, the system cycles itself and does what it does, just like we have here on Earth. Yeah. So, as a closed system,
but it's still
makes sense.
It's a closed system that's only closed because we have multiple systems on this planet.
Dude, come on. Don't give me that.
We have our land system. We have our clouds are its own system. That's why clouds aren't down here on us. That's why we can't touch the clouds. They're in their own system. They're in the system that creates rain.
No, dude. The water cycle is a system of itself, but it requires an actual contained environment to do what it does.
Do you know where you can't have a gas and water cycle occurring? In a vacuum.
And look in the drawing of the water cycle. You don't see any of the lines. Look in the drawing. You don't see any of the lines shooting into outer space. You don't see any of the lines doing that. It's a cycle. None of the lines shoot out into space.
See, even you saying there, like a greenhouse. Well, okay, but then we're the ones saying that there is a greenhouse, and the globe side is saying there's not a greenhouse.
But they're worried about all these greenhouse gases and global warming.
So they created a terrarium-based like system some time ago. You guys ever heard about that research?
No.
Who's they?
Flat Earth.
I'm gonna pull up the video. There's like a whole docuseries.
We don't want to.
I don't know if you're talking about like Project Eden type stuff, but that's not technically. I guess it is in ways, but
like terrarium essentially into a closed system, large enough to see if it was completely cut off from outside world. Could humans or a person live in there? Would there be created enough oxygen with just the amount of plants and everything that they have that's in there?
That doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
This system does not work in a closed system.
No, you can't replicate that in a fucking trailer, dude.
I didn't say a trailer. This was larger than a trailer. This was like a
double wide trailer. A double wide trailer. 4 trailers. You can't do it in 4 trailers. How's that? You can't do it in 8 trailers.
It was larger than that.
We can't do it in 16.
But what if you had, say, one the size of the whole Earth with all the vegetation therein? Then could us tiny little ants scramble for enough gas to survive? So there you go. We've pretty much explained it to you. It's motionless, it's flat, it's like a terrarium. Now the world's your oyster. You can run off and explore. Like you're playing Skyrim.
Now you have something to look for. Now you have something to look forward to.
Yeah. Go and find the edge for us, because people keep asking.
Do a GoFundMe or whatever they are, and say you're going to search for the edge. You'll get enough people to pay for you to go.
Yeah, the Globers are desperate for it. And there's loads of them.
And then do one for me so I can go to space.
It was 3 point.
For like $1 million.
Oh wow, it's crazy. They made it pi acre. That's awesome. It's 3.14 acres. The entire closed ecosystem that they could not get to replicate.
Yeah, because they can't close it off.
Exactly, because a closed system can't work.
They can't close it off.
Well, terrarium's existence would prove you wrong there.
You would
That's
need
exactly what they are.
3.14 acre vacuum chamber, vacuum sealed walls, and they don't have that, so you can't seal it, dude. Even then, you can't do anything about it.
You'd be pulling the air out of the thing that it's
No,
creating.
you can't do anything mechanically. Not if you're going to do it the correct way. Can't be introducing new shit into it. No wonder why it failed.
It's not introducing new systems. It's introducing stuff as we know it and perceive and based on science. And you just can't, a closed system can't work based on science.
I just posted a thing where by now it's 70 years old or whatever, 65 something years old, that jar. What do you think of that? It's been sealed. He just put water, all the shit in it once when he closed it up. That was it. Never waters it. How come that works? How come it makes its own rain and does its own gas cycles?
It doesn't make its own rain. It condensates.
Same thing.
That's rain.
I don't see any
notice
clouds.
they didn't do that.
See any tornadoes.
Notice they didn't do that test in a vacuum because they know that would be preposterous.
Well, that test is not in a vacuum. It's just in a sealed container, and it's life.
It's sealed, though. You can't seal a building.
Yeah, because you could never do that in a vacuum. You could never make a single plant grow in a vacuum. At least these other guys in the 3.14 acres, they knew we need some kind of sealed container to really generate life. And it'll create its own system. They would have never considered, let's thrive in a vacuum.
You don't have that with brick walls and metal walls and all that shit. You don't have that. Even with concrete walls, still have air.
You also need an input of light into the system, even if it's from an outside source, and you don't get that from fireballs in a vacuum. The light that is shining into the terrarium, it could be outside, but it's not a fireball. It's not fire. It's light. And in the glow paradigm, they're saying that the light is coming from fire, from a fireball.
From a fireball in a vacuum chamber, which is not possible.
And on that bombshell.
Well, technically, it's not a fireball, it's a plasma ball. Fire needs to exist where there's oxygen, and there's no oxygen in the sun, so there's no fire.
No, it's a disc of fire being dragged by a chariot.
Not fire. It's
Don't you know?
Plasma. It's a chain reaction of pressure.
I say debunk Cyclone. I go with the chariot. I want you to debunk him.
I think, honestly, the main reason we've been having as many tornadoes as we've been having here is because they've been placing these damn traffic lights with roundabouts. Think about all the cars that keep going around in circles around fucking roundabout.
It failed. That was creating you need like a better delivery because your trolley shit doesn't work.
It wasn't troll.
Right,
it was
on that note, boys, I'm gonna jump off, but good chats and keep it rolling.
Oh, good chat, you guys. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Must have.
Cyclone. I can't believe how long you've been talking to this guy. I was listening on YouTube. I feel like that was hours ago, and then I went away and did all the other things. I come back like, oh my gosh, like did I not skip forward? It's still 2 hours ago. No, it's Cyclone still talking to the same guy. You're both very persistent. Hours. Yeah, and says who was in there? Long. I don't know. That's what it felt like. Maybe it wasn't. Didn't it feel like that to you?
I guess it has been a little while, but if you get it beyond 10 minutes with most of these guys, it's an achievement. So
that's true. You did have a back and forth. Yes, you had a back and forth, which is good. Yeah. Maybe somebody.
Yeah, he was all right.
Learned something from it. He's still here. Yeah, cool.
I'm still here. Yeah.
Hi, CrewTwon.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Hello. I just like to agree to disagree instead of create an enemy out of somebody who you and I might fucking love macaroni. We could become friends that way. I mean, shit. I'm
not with a mouth like that. We won't be friends.
Excuse me.
Yeah, clean up that potty mouth. For sure.
My apologies.
It's a family show.
I'm sorry. Yes, mistress.
Oh, yeah, look at this cyclone. He's shaping up already.
I don't know. That's definitely time for me to leave. But yeah, you have a good night. Good to hear you, Mary Mom.
You too.
You too. You did a good job. I was just giving you a hard time.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, you have a good night, yeah? I'm going to listen for a bit and then I'll drop off.
Okay. Well, says who can keep talking to him or whoever. I don't have to talk to him for 12 minutes. My shift doesn't start till the top of the hour.
What do you do for a living?
Ooh, I get 12 minutes. I think he's talking to you, Mary Mom.
She flat smacks Globers for a living.
Yep, for $0.
You do what?
Flat smack Globers. Flat smacks Globers. Like if you're a Glober, she's about to flat smack you. So be prepared.
Yep, I'm like the breatharians. I don't even need any sustenance other than that. Yep.
I don't know if I want to talk about the Earth anymore, though.
Well, says who has to. I don't know if he was done with you. He was going to make another point. So I was just saying goodbye to Cyclone. So I'll give it back to you.
I asked what you did for a living. I was curious because you said you're about to start your shift in 12 minutes.
Yeah, my shift is here. We have a ladies' night at the top of the hour. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did not know. I thought you honestly were like talking about IRL shift. Outside of
she
here.
flat smacks for a living in 12 minutes. Welcome to the show.
Gotcha. Okay. Damn it, man. All right. I'm here for it.
All right. Well, that says who finished his point there.
I don't know if I had anything to conclude with.
Yeah, you just broke up. That's why you went away. That's all.
Yep. I got bad reception tonight for whatever reason. So if our friend here, who is very calm and cordial, wants to hang around for ladies' night, I think you should. That'd be good.
I am. I will sit back in the silence.
Oh, you can join in.
Yeah, you don't have to be silent. That's what ladies' night is for. They're for fantasy globe believers like yourself who need to have some sense put into them. Yep.
No, I see. I'm very, very prone believer that opposites attract like magnets. You know what I mean? So I have been trying to find me a flat Earth girl for a while.
No. See, flat Earth girls are not going to go for a Glober man. No. You know why? Because they don't understand horizontal positions.
Hey guys, I have to go to the... Looking swish, dude. That was nothing but net, sister.
That was a mom joke for sure. That's not a dad joke.
No, it was excellent, man. Glober girls, they're not great, dude. Yeah, they don't understand horizontal. Love that.
Gosh, I don't know. Are we starting early? I don't know. I mean, is this just the pre-show? I guess this is the pre-show.
Are y'all just gonna
warm it up a little bit?
I apparently am the only Glober around here. Is that what y'all gonna do?
Well, people come and go. I mean, there's a
but why are you
here just a minute ago, and then they went away. Yeah, asking that, Jenna. Good question.
So yeah, CrewTwon. Why are you a Glober though? Why?
Because I like to think big. Meaning that certain things. Because I like to think big.
Okay.
I like to think big in the sense of we know there's this basketball. It's round. It's shaped, this way. But we could not perceive what something would be like on the scale at which our planet exists on. We would only be able to do mathematical measurements based on observations. And I believe that there have been enough people who've made observations and been able to connect the dots using other combined knowledges, because you can't believe in a flat Earth without combining other knowledge and perceived knowledge. So you combine knowledge together to create a globe, the globe as I see it.
Right. So what knowledge has been combined for you to think that Earth is a globe?
The fact that magnets exist, the fact that we have a compass that can point true north due to the fact that magnets exist. We understand that there's a gravitational pull.
Nope,
You're asking me to combine the facts. You can't stop one.
Stop. The existence of magnets has nothing to do with the surface of the Earth or the shape of the Earth. A compass is a round, flat tool that you have to hold level and horizontal to the plane of your horizon for navigating. It's a flat Earth tool, my guy. It only points north.
And only points north based on the position that you're moving. If you're standing still, it points north. But if you start moving in a different direction, you know you're moving away from north. What is considered north.
No, your compass is always going to point north. It doesn't ever point north. I can go east or west, and I can do that between north and south, and my compass is still always going to point north, because if it didn't, well, then it would be a piece of shit tool and I'd get lost.
Well, actually, that's incorrect. You're gonna have to correct that, because there is positions where the compass point downwards, and it doesn't point north. So that phenomena pointing north is most of the cases, but it doesn't always.
Yes, if you're on the southern half of the hemisphere where you're closer to the southern pole, your magnetic north in that direction is going to be the pole on the south side. Hello?
What?
He's saying that they use magnets in the south that apparently are attracted to the southern magnetic pole. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, there's poles on both sides of our planet.
Well, it's not a planet.
The tool works.
No,
well,
it just points towards the magnetic north. All of them do.
In a sense that we are a planet. If you believe in planetariums, we're a planet.
No, it's not a planet. A planet, first of all, etymologically was a wandering star. Since that time, they've decided that the Earth is a ball in outer space. And of course, as I asked you long ago, probably 3 hours ago, what I needed was Earth curve measurements, and you still haven't provided those. Yet you're still calling the Earth a globe or a planet. And it's just not true.
I don't know how to find the curvature of the Earth, because if you think of Earth as a whole, it's not really a circle. It's a rock that's flying through space. It's the centrifugal force.
And you can't prove that. Stop it.
So Neil deGrasse Tyson said that the Earth, if it is a ball, which it's not, should be smoother and rounder than a cue ball that you would play billiards with.
Correct. And we are not that. Essentially, like if
no, right. So since he said the Earth would be smoother and rounder than a cue ball. Are you hearing what I'm telling you?
On its scale?
Yes. The radius of that ball, that really smooth round ball, is supposed to be 3,959 miles. That particular dimension has geometric consequences where we would be finding tangent points according to the observer height. We find no place that we can measure these tangent points. In fact, all we actually do, everybody navigates, builds on, observes, measures the Earth to be flat and stationary, where this entire conversation began.
To say that the Earth would be smoother than a cue ball would be imagining it from a perspective at which you and I can't see, and that would be from some third-party view of this lively plane that we are on, since I can't say planet. So with that being said, when you zoom in, it's like when you're on a microscope and you're looking at something, you start finding more details, you start finding out that the planet is not smooth. We've got rivers, we've got rocks, we've got caverns, we have caves. So to measure the curvature of the world is almost identical to trying to say how much square mile does Switzerland have. Or it's not Switzerland, Greenway has. And there's no definitive way that you can actually measure that. Or Greenland.
Okay, so nobody has measured the curvature of the Earth, is what you're telling me.
You can't measure it in the sense of the ground source in which you stand on, because at any two paths, if somebody walks next to you, walks the same path, they may go over a hill that's larger than the one that you're on. So if you measure that distance relative to just even 1 foot apart from each other and you travel that same distance, it's not going to be the same. It's not a flat plane. So you can't measure the true curvature of something until you find the edge of something. And so the edge,
which is why we have,
is based on our planetary gases that, essentially the atmosphere that we have above us.
Friend, there's something called an Earth curve calculator that is supposed to give you distances to various different features on the Earth. One of them can be the horizon, as it turns out. And so there is a math to follow, especially over water, where, it's supposed to be conforming to the outside of a sphere. So according to your observer height, you're supposed to be able to measure to a tangent point, being the horizon, and that will validate that you're on a globe. But the problem is that we've done these measurements, and the curvature and the tangent point is not there. Over water, by the way.
Okay, yeah, that was good. Says who? Yeah, I mean, I guess it's going to be his choice whether he accepts reality or not. Okay, well, yeah, Q1, you can give your response to what says who said. But the Ladies' Night event has. I'm going to say you can give it in a minute after I introduce what we're doing here, because we started the event here. Ticardi started the event here, so. Put your thoughts on hold, get a little sticky note out and write them down if you think you can't remember, to respond to what he just said, which I think was another version of what you've been hearing, meaning there's no curvature. Anyway, we are starting Ladies' Night, and it is Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. Just a brief history here of Ladies' Night. It started in the year 2020. About this time of year, so it's around an anniversary time, meaning that we're starting the 6th year season of Ladies' Night. We had a little bit of a hiatus here and there, probably more than one hiatus, but it takes a licking and it keeps on ticking. And then we just got renewed for another season, and here we are. With our $0, 3,333 insults per year contract, and we are very happy to be here. So, yeah, the purpose of this night, CrewTwon, since it's your first time being here for Ladies' Night and maybe at all, is to give the ladies of the Flat Earth a chance to answer the questions of the Globe Believers. And originally it was started because we had a lot of ladies who maybe couldn't get a word in edgewise with all these, guys we got around here who are very sharp with their arguments. That was one reason. And then maybe also just to have like a different approach, because sometimes holding on to that globe goes back to your childhood when someone told you you lived on one, even though your experience was completely different. So perhaps hearing the feminine perspective will just take you back to that time in childhood, looking up at your solar system mobile and your dinosaur wallpaper and thinking, I don't really see any of these things when I go outside, but they're telling me I live on a globe. There's that globe over there. there's none of that anywhere. It doesn't actually exist. There is no globe. That's what we're here to explain. So we've got, let's see who we have here. We've got Jenna's mom, Bree, is back with us. Good to see you again, Bree. And we have Jenna, the lioness. We've got Minerva. Good to see you, Minerva. We haven't seen you for a little while. Welcome back. And that's it. But maybe we'll get some more to jump in here since we're just getting started. So, yeah.
My mother says hello.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Hello, Jenna's mom, Bree. CrewTwon. So, do you have a specific response to what says who said to you, or should we just reset the whole conversation? Did you write anything on your sticky note there?
I did not write anything down, but you can start off however, or anybody else can start.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would just be curious, like, what holds you to your fantasy globe?
Give me just a second. I apologize. One moment.
Okay. Oh, he's got to go Google that one. How are you doing, Minerva? I don't know if you can talk or say hello.
That's how you doing.
Good.
I'm here.
Good. Yeah, we've got this guy, CrewTwonTV. He's been talking to the guys here for quite some time over, and he's been very polite. They've been having a back and forth as far as what I could hear, so we'll just see if we can get through to him. Or we can just talk among ourselves. The lifologist is here. Hello, lifologist.
Hey, how's it going? Shalom.
Pretty good. How are you?
Hanging in there. Same stuff, different day.
Yeah.
Just relaxing.
I don't know if you ever told us how you originally got into the flat earth. Did you feel like telling us?
I'm sure. It actually, me and my husband, Aethergris at the bottom, started getting into it maybe about 2011, 2000, around that, somewhere around there after our second born, our second child was born. With it all started with vaccines. And that's really what got us into where we are now, because we started looking in and researching everything, because when we found out about vaccines and stuff, and when you've personally experienced
talking about measuring, learning about the flat earth is unlike a lot of these other things where you might wonder if the mainstream narrative is correct or not, like, and a lot of them can't be confirmed because they're either historical events or we don't have access to the information and so on. But this one you can figure it out for yourself. I mean, there's just so much information available that's just mathematics, and logical arguments that, as a bonus, you could even go out and measure it for yourself. But you don't even have to do that necessarily, because there's so much well-documented information out there that you can draw a logical conclusion, and you don't really have to sit around and wonder about it. I mean, there's just no evidence for a globe, and then it just gets to the point of whether someone's psychologically and emotionally ready to deal with having their whole worldview changed or not.
exactly. But then you look at some of the stuff that they didn't teach in school, about the Antarctic Treaty they never teach you about, and all these different operations like fishbowl and whatnot. It's wild when you start digging deep for yourself and finding out all this information. And speaking to, other people, like I was talking to y'all about last week about one of the people that I worked with that was on the Air Force for over 30 years, and that's wild.
Yeah, I went, let's see, that must have been last week. Yeah, I went to meet some people here in Michigan that were flat earthers, and that was really nice. Like, some of the ladies, they kind of reminded me of you. They were like homeschooling their children. They were just like very sweet, kind ladies. On my way there, I was thinking, maybe I'll invite some of these people to the Discord server. But then when I got there, like, these ladies were so nice that I didn't want to invite them here. So I don't know what to say about that. Because it can be kind of like, Wild West around here. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Just tell them, caution, this can happen.
That's true. I could make up little cards. I actually thought about making up little cards. I could be like, I'm inviting you to this Discord server at your own risk. But you might find it useful. Yeah. What were you going to say, Minerva?
They enter to get cooked.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Well, Dog Parks has joined us. I don't really know who Dog Parks is. Are you new to our channel, Dog Parks?
Not particularly. I wouldn't say that I'm very new.
Oh, you've been here before?
Yeah.
What was it like when you came here before?
It was a long time ago. It was a lot of yelling at that point in time. Yeah, it was a lot of yelling. It wasn't a lot of good discussion. It seemed like I don't know. I didn't see a productive conversation happening, so I didn't really come back. But now I'm here observing to see if there, is something worth staying for.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Like, what questions do you have then about the flat Earth?
Is it a literal belief or a philosophical mindset?
That's a good question. Wow, I've heard a lot of people ask questions about the flat Earth, and I don't think I've ever heard it put quite that way. It is definitely a literal belief. We have made observations that demonstrate conclusively, observations and measurements that we can't possibly be on a globe with the radius of 3,959 miles, which is claimed. So, are you familiar at all with mathematical proofs or logic? Like, for example, it's demonstrable that when you have a conjecture, if A, then B, and then you find out that B is not true, if not B, then you can say that not A is also true. And also that when you make conjectures in mathematics or logic, it only requires one counterexample to disprove a faulty conjecture.
Yeah, I would not say that I'm super familiar, but I know from high school geometry. So I would say I have that level of understanding of mathematical proofs, which is not that much, but some.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'll tag you in this chat we've got with this channel. Do you see your name there?
Yeah.
In the little chat. Yeah. So I'm just going to put this image up for you. So this particular image that I'm going to put up here, we call it the black swan argument for flat Earth. So are you familiar with black swan phenomenon in general? Have you heard that before?
I'm not familiar with that outside of the movie The Black Swan. I don't know if that's relevant or not.
Was it a good movie?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, neither have I.
It's supposed to be.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about that movie, but the reason this is called the black swan argument is because of what I was just saying to you about counterexamples. If a lot of people don't know there's black swans, I happen to have known since I was a teenager that there's black swans because when my boyfriend in high school was taking me to the prom, he first took me to this very fancy restaurant in Kalamazoo, Michigan called the Black Swan, and they had little pair of black swans in the pond there. It was very cute. But anyway, a lot of people have never seen a black swan, and so they might think that all swans are white. So they could make that conjecture, all swans are white. But then as soon as they see one swan, they can no longer claim that statement. I mean, one black swan. Did I say that right? Not sure. But anyway, once they see black swan, they can no longer say all swans are white. You got that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's another way of showing the counterexample. So anywho, back to the argument there. It says there. So the top of this is from our friend Quantum Eraser. He comes around this channel. He put this in the year 2020 into this format here. That's why at the top you have one of his colloquialisms, holy shnikes. This is going to leave a mark. And then I'll just read it to you and follow along. If P, then Q. Not Q, therefore not P. That's what we just talked about. You would have done that in your geometry class. Yep. Yep. Before we get to the next part, if you could look at that picture, the image there, and if you could tell me, where do you think the horizon is in relation to those oil rigs? Would you say the horizon is behind the oil rigs, in front of the oil rigs, other?
According to this, it looks like the horizon is in between the oil rigs.
Wow.
No, behind them. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm looking at my smaller monitor. Yeah, it looks like it's behind
look at the bigger one. Yeah, it totally is. Yep, because that's the place where the water appears to meet the sky. Yep. It's totally behind there. Yep. So anywho, it says there, if the Earth is a sphere with a radius 3,959 miles, we call that the P statement. Then any horizon distance measurement must be no more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's the Q statement. So let me just pause there. What was your name again?
Dog Parks.
Dog? What is it?
Dog Parks.
Oh, Dog Parks. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, it's kind of like Dog Barks, but Dog Parks. Okay, I should be able to remember that. Anywho, what I wanted to say there. Okay, because that calculation right there comes from the globe model. So the purpose of doing this is to examine the model that we are given by so-called mainstream pseudoscience. And we could talk about why there's pseudoscience later if we want. Not all mainstream science is pseudoscience, but of course, anything having to do with the globe is pseudoscience. And it's just fraudulent in general. But nonetheless, we're testing their claim. So this is their claim. We didn't make up these numbers. This is their claim. They said the horizon would be no more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's cute. And so, yeah, because you took geometry, you can understand that. If we have a sphere, we can take measurements and we can predict, what that drop would be and where it would begin.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yep. And there's things called Earth curve calculators. University of Washington has one, and they're all going to use that formula. So, and that's what those parentheses there mean, geometric horizon curve calculators. So, not cute. This is what the image is showing you, but it's not just this image. We just established it only takes one counterexample to disprove a faulty conjecture. So some people like to get all agitated. You're not agitated yet, which that makes me happy, but some people get very agitated about this image. So if you are agitated about it, I would just say you can go out and measure it for yourself. You can look at one of the other thousands of observations. You can look at the laser test, so on and so forth. But we're only looking at this one right now. Yep, we're only looking at this one right now. So in this image, it's not just the image that's proving it. It's the fact that this is a still shot from a video that a person took out here in California where these oil rigs are. You could, if you cared enough, dog parks, you could go to California and you could do this observation yourself. You could see, the horizon beyond the oil rigs. And those oil rigs are like mile markers. So we know it's established fact that the platform habitat is at 9.41 miles. The platform hill house is at 6.21 miles. The observer height in this case was 1 foot. So when you put square root of 1, which is 1, into that formula, you get 1.225 miles. And yet, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong picture. The one we're looking at there it doesn't even matter. There is another one of the same place where it's 1 foot, but the one that I gave you is actually 5 foot. Oh, no, it says actual 1 foot. Doesn't matter. If it was 5 foot, it'd be 2.73 miles. If it was 1 foot, it'd be 1.22 miles. Either way, you can see the horizon is way beyond both of those numbers because platform hill house 6.21 miles, platform habitat 9.41 miles, and yet the horizon is clearly like more than 10 miles. So you're seeing too far to live on a globe of the dimension claim. So then we say, therefore not P. We've disproved the P statement that was if the Earth is a sphere with radius 3,959 miles, so it is not a sphere. That's the whole reason we're here. So yeah, it's not a philosophical position. It is a geometrical measurement and logical proof. That's pretty much our argument. What do you think about that, Doug Parks?
I guess the question I have then is why is the conclusion that the Earth is flat, not that the Earth is a different size than we expect it to be?
Great question. Yes. So part of the problem here is that the fantasy globe model recalcitrant adherents have built their entire pseudoscientific fantasy sci-fi world on this radius of 3,959 miles. So I hear what you're saying, but even if you were to say, oh, well, then could it be a radius of 4,000 miles? Could it be bigger? Could it be smaller? You could test all of those, and you would also, because we also have observations that are way further than this. In a minute here, I'll show you some more of them. There's never been any observation of curvature or objects disappearing from our view for any reason. And then there's other things, like radio wave transmissions that have gone, outrageous distance. You can't just say, no, this is an outrageously big Earth. I mean, that has also been disproven and can easily be disproven. But, even if you wanted to think that, that's not what they're claiming out there. So it's kind of like the purpose of this is just to, you just poke a little pinhole in their little, globe that's made of nothing, their little beach ball, and it just deflates and it's just not there. Because they're not claiming a giant Earth, right? They're claiming 3,959 miles. All their calculations, all their claims, all of their official nonsense is based on that radius. So that's the reason.
I mean, I get that. I guess for me, just going based on that image alone, the conclusion I would come to would be, at the very least, then, that the size of the Earth is different. What cements you over to the other side that is flat past that? What's the thing that moves you on over to, yep, the Earth is flat? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so you're still hung up on that. It could be bigger thing. So I'll get you the other list of observations. Which this also is just a sampling. It's not like every single observation. I gotta scroll back here and find it for you. But yeah, I mean, what cements me is there's never been curvature measured anywhere, and also that there's many other observations that are much further than this, and that you can't just claim a bigger globe because you understand that there's this whole. There's some professional globe believers that will come in here and say, the body of science says it's a globe. the body of science says it's a globe of 3,959 miles. So that's the one we're working on. I mean, is Neil deGrasse Tyson going to come out tomorrow and say, "Oh, sorry guys, it's actually 10,000"? And then we'll just change our little list, and we can have the observations that will disprove that radius. We're just disproving the radius that they claimed, because that's our job. I mean, that's our mission. We don't need to. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, there's the other list. If you click on that,
I am I would say I'm open to not just downright accepting the scientific authorities on any sort of statement. I definitely am open to that. I am agnostic to the shape and size of the Earth, as I feel I am limited in my current perspective. I have not actually myself witnessed that curve. So I could stand in an agnostic, point of view. I guess that's where I'm at.
I like that. Yes, because dog parks, I would be very concerned about you if you let me talk you into it in 20 minutes. I'd be very worried about you. Yeah, because you came in here not even knowing that we had objective measurements and logical arguments. Like, you thought we were just sitting around like philosophizing about it. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought at first too. I thought, oh, these people, they just must be like living in the dark ages. They just romanticize the past and they prefer simpler times. So that must be why they're doing it. No, it wasn't until I tried to find some evidence for the globe so that I could show people how they were wrong about flat Earth that I realized that there was more to this argument. And then eventually, over time, I came to understand that not only is there something to this argument, there's absolutely nothing verifiable, testable, repeatable, measurable in the globe claim. So, yeah, I mean, I appreciate you being agnostic, because if you're welcome to stay here as long as you want, but when you, and come back any other time, but, I would hope when you go away from here that you will realize that this is a serious claim and that it's not just a joke, because that's kind of like there's like a propaganda campaign to try to treat flat Earth like a joke or a meme or misrepresent our position and so on. And so, for you to actually admit that there might be something to it, to the point where you're willing to be an agnostic, I appreciate that position.
Yeah, I appreciate the respectful conversation and sharing your views with me. I gotta get going, but yeah, I'll definitely be back at some point, and thanks again. Have a good one.
Yep, see ya. We've got somebody new up at the top, CMQI. Or did they go away? I think they did go away. Inside Secret is here. Oh my, they two seeker. Oh, one. Yeah. Okay. So does anybody else here have a question about the Earth? Oh, Salt Lake Stacey's here. Welcome. Good to see you back.
A 20-minute break.
Great. All right. 20 minutes. Anything new on the flat Earth where you are?
It's cloudy today, but I saw a contrail in the sky, but that was one which was actually just a contrail because it dispersed really quickly, and I'm near an airport. So that was a nice thing to see compared to the other ones you sometimes see in the sky.
Yeah, we've got way clearer skies.
You have a unique accent.
I'm half German. Das ist gut.
Ah, das ist gut.
Oh, CrewTwon, yeah. Meet Stacey. CrewTwon is a globe believer. I don't know if you feel like having a discussion with him. He's talked to a bunch of us here already. Salt Lake Stacey has done a bunch of like field tests and observations. She's really good at explaining things. Did you have any questions for her?
I don't have questions, but others may have questions for me. I mean, the only question I believe is why do a lot of flat earthers believe that everything else around it moves but us? That would be my question.
Do you feel like taking that one, Stacey?
Yeah, I can try and respond. So you're basically saying, why do we see the stars move, but why does not the Earth move?
Right. Why is everything that we observe outside of or inside, depending on what believer you are of the container system, move, but we don't?
So I would respond to that firstly by in the perspective you have, you are conflating the Earth and the sky as if it's the same thing and it shares the same properties and stuff. Whereas I would make the division that the Earth is foreign to the sky. Or at least like the stars, for example, we can't go and touch the stars. They say we can fly to the stars and to the the planets and stuff, but I've never been up there, and as far as I can tell, the Earth is stationary. I guess you could get technical and say, well, what if the Earth is actually moving in relation to the ocean, and is the land as fixed as it is? But that's the furthest I could go into speculating the movement of the Earth. I don't think there's enough. Well, I don't think it's something you can prove unless you could go to the stars.
Well, I've heard the question that you can't see the curvature of the Earth, but you clearly can if you're standing on the ocean and you watch a ship depart. At some point in time, that ship will leave your view at about 20 miles, I believe it is, at the horizon, where all things essentially cease to exist, or that the edge of the world is perceived at. Even if you were to take a ship from coastline, I have not personally done it, but I have read research or watched documentaries or seen studies. But personally, I've not sought that answer, though, because I am a firm believer that you can't just only believe life and what you can perceive when there's others who've looked for these answers that you are asking for and have tried.
What about me? I'm looking for the answers. I've gone and I've looked at ships sailing away. I've done field tests. So, like, now you're discrediting what I've done for what all these astronauts claim to have done. So where do you draw the line between who you trust and who you don't trust?
Well, I've been lucky enough to be able to go on a cruise, and so departing from the cruise, I could see the land essentially disappear away from me as I had departed on from the ocean from my own observation-based look. I wasn't going on to specifically do a study, but I did watch the land disappear from behind me, and it wasn't due to the fact of, vision and or clarity. We had reached a point at which we were over 20 miles out from the coast of where we departed on, where that drops. If you were to perceive a height distance from where that measurement would be at exactly 20 miles out from the coast, you essentially perceive roughly a 266-foot drop. That is the most drop you'll see between that curvature. It's roughly about point. Let me find that again. I was doing some math over here. Sorry, you guys. I was doing a lot of stuff when I was quiet.
Yeah. Can I just
0.12 curvature? Like that's the degree in curvature that you would see. But yes, you can cut it. Sorry.
If I'm verbally speaking to you, the further I get away, are you going to hear me forever? Or is it the curve which is stopping you from hearing me the further I get away from you?
My human ears might not be able to hear you because I cannot perceive that sound from traveling, but other animals or things could because they have more sensitive hearing. To limit my perception based on my hearing is not a good analogy, I think.
What I'm trying to get at is with sound, we experience sound attenuation, and in the same, obviously it's not the same, our sound is different to our sight. But when we get further, we can't hear forever, the sound will attenuate and you won't hear it anymore. And in the same way, we won't see forever. So you can, I doubt that you would be the kind of person to say you can't hear anyone because of the curve of the Earth. But then why are you saying you can't see things because of the curve of the Earth?
Because you're comparing two different measurement type systems to equate with each other. Your hearing is, you could create a tool that will allow you to be able to hear those things that you can't hear. But you can't create a tool that can look over the curvature of the Earth. So being on that ship, they had these little binoculars that were on the ship that I could look back on, look out in the ocean on, and see things. And these binoculars, which should have given me further perception, meaning I should have saw further than 20 miles, did not allow me to see land beyond 20 miles because that land had disappeared beyond the Earth's curvature.
Do you think if we had, if the Earth was flat and not curved, would you be able to see, how far would you be able to see before you can't see?
It would be dependent on the tool that you are using. If I can create a tool that can amplify sounds in such a way that I cannot perceive it with my human ears, but it could measure and perceive it and interpret that audio source for me, that means I've created a tool that can do that for me. I cannot create a telescope, a magnifying glass, a set of binoculars that will allow me to see over 20 miles beyond sea level.
Okay.
You cannot. You would have to create something that would have to refract off of something, because beyond that curvature, the angle of curvature changes at, like I said, it's like 0.12 degrees, which is roughly 266 feet lower than your perceived sea level.
And if I can't see something before any curve is meant to be there, what does that mean? So, say if something's meant to disappear 5 kilometers away, but I've only been 2 kilometers away and it's disappeared, does that mean it's curvature?
Well, no, because then that means you're potentially being, your perception of sight is being distorted by something else. It could be environmental based, it could be clouds, it could be whatever. So you cannot perceive 20 miles out onto the ocean per se, because there is an environment that exists between you and that 20 miles. So your actual vision is probably about 4 or 5 miles before you start seeing ships depart off of the horizon. But it's not because of the curvature. It's just due to the amount of just things in the air that you see.
So then
but the true distance of the curvature drop off is 20 miles.
Why are you saying when you were under cruise, the land disappeared due to curvature and not just due to the environment?
Because, like I said, there were binoculars on the ship that I could look back out on. So when we were coming and arriving to Cozumel and whatever, I could see the land approaching. They just give you that ability to be like, oh, look out in the ocean, look and see. And as we were out in the middle of the ocean, I tried to look around on these binoculars that should have amplified my vision, allowing me to see further and or beyond what my normal eyes could see. And the land was just not there. It was beyond the Earth's curvature.
Okay.
So I don't see that as being the same as using audio, because if I can create a tool that allows me to hear things I can't hear, then I should be able to create a seeing tool that allows me to see further than I normally would be able to, but you can't see beyond the curvature of the Earth. At that point, you're looking off into the sky because the Earth has a curvature to it. We're only limited to seeing that sky at 3 to 4 miles just because of natural light pollution, evaporation of the ocean or whatever, so in case, depending on where you may be.
So
if you're looking out on top of Mount Everest, though, you'll be able to see more than 20 miles. You'll be able to see, I forget how many miles. Go ahead, I apologize.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something about what I've observed of what you've been saying and like a specific perspective you have, but it's just, yeah, I've lost it now. But
sorry, but yeah, at sea level,
communicating on different wavelengths. So what do you think the main thing between this conversation, what do you think the biggest clutch between what you're saying and what I'm saying is?
I don't know. You're stating that you went out on a specific voyage based on your research and you learned something. I believe just based on my observation, even though I didn't go out and do research, this is what I perceived based on my own eyes, and then based on the facts that have been given to me through my own research, knowing how the Earth's curvature is, and we just can't get to the same conclusion. And I don't know why that is. I mean, that's why people do experiments, to try to get the same results to determine, which one's more accurate, and we're just not at that point. So that we agree to disagree. I'm not saying your experiments were wrong, but maybe based on what you did versus based off of what I did in my observation, were just different. And then based on the facts that I have decided to accept as true, it makes sense to me. And there are certain facts that I believe to be true that you don't believe to be true. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're wrong. It's just that that's not your observation or belief in that aspect. Our observation, we're coming from two different standpoints.
Now, conversation, I've noticed you seem very much like in the globe model, it gives you limitations. Once a certain distance is reached, you won't see something. And therefore, when you jump into the idea of the Earth not being a globe, then you're sort of taking away limits, as if there's no more limits on site. Now, if we just keep making tools on a flat Earth, we could essentially see as far as we could see if we just make tools. But I think that's a bit unrealistic. There's still limits and thresholds that we can't engineer our way out of in this world, whether it's flat or a globe.
Yeah, she's saying that there's other limitations to vision. I guess you're ascribing whatever you saw to curvature when there can be other explanations for it. I actually missed the beginning of what he was claiming that he saw.
No, I get what she, and then the same as that instance, binoculars don't allow me to see through clouds either. So, I didn't have true instruments that would allow me to be able to see beyond what our normal eyes would allow us to see. If there's atmospheric interference, binoculars is not going to be able to see through that without giving me some other third party abilities like infrared or something like that. And I didn't have that. So I can't say based on my observation that is solely true. I just believe it to be true based on the facts that I understand, that I believe in, not that I understand, the facts that I believe in, it just makes sense. So, like I said, we're at an impasse in regards to, I guess, the whole curvature thing, because you're saying you observed something and witnessed something, and I'm telling you that there's tools that have been created to do such said things, but I've not personally experienced or used those tools to say that my answer is definitively true. I'm just going based off the fact that the Earth is a globe, and this is what I perceive based on what I know.
I'm suggesting that limits to our visibility is due to environmental things and perspective, whereas you're pinning it on the curvature of the Earth. And yeah, that's our impasse. Anyway, I do have to
You
get
don't
back
think
to
there are
work.
tools? Okay, have a good day.
There are definitely tools, but there's still limits. We can't play God and just make some impossible thing possible. So there's tools you can improve your vision, but you'll still reach limits. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to head off now, but it was nice talking to you, and
nice talking
enjoy
to you,
everyone.
Thanks, Stacey. Great to hear from you.
Hi, Stacey.
Yeah, I mean, while you were talking there, I guess, there's a few things here. You did admit there that you're presupposing the globe. So because you're assuming there's a globe, you're saying that curvature is causing the visual effects that you're seeing, whereas there are other explanations. So for that reason, the curvature, your observation does not prove curvature because there could be other explanations for it. And also, you admitted you weren't really measuring things, you didn't have the right equipment. So, to just go by your belief, like you said, and you're wishing to believe it's a globe, you would also have to dismiss all of these other observations that have been made, that if you cared enough to figure out the truth about your world, you could go and see them. So, for example, Sunny on the Plain, 41 minutes after the hour, is showing you Sunset Beach to Mount Orizaba on Catalina Island, 30.88 miles, and there's 486 feet of missing curvature in this photo. So when we're talking about observations, many of these observations that have been documented, we're documenting the observer height. We're documenting the exact distance to the phenomenon that we're observing. We're plugging the numbers into the Earth curve calculator put out by globe adherents, such as the University of Washington, and we're seeing what they predict, and we're comparing it what we're seeing in reality, and we're seeing that those things don't match up. So that's a very different argument than just saying, I want it to be a globe, so when I see things, I imagine that it's a globe, and that's the reason for it. Even though I acknowledge there might be other things, I'm just going to stick with thinking that it's a globe. So, do you see any problem with that line of reasoning?
Well, my apologies. I feel like y'all are both, but we're both in that same exact belief system. You guys are going based on your perception, and I'm going based off of my perception, So
I just explained to you the difference. I just explained to you the difference. You're just looking at something and thinking, I want it to be a globe. I think it's a globe, so it must be a globe. Curvature must be causing this, even though you just conceded to Stacey that it could be caused by other things. Whereas when we are doing the observation, so the one I just explained to you about Catalina Island, that's Sunny on the Plain. Are you in the chat there? Put at 41 minutes after the hour. Then okay. Well, I'll tag in there so you can take a look, because there's some good demonstrations here. KW. I can't even remember your name. Oh, CR. Okay. There we go. So anyway, so then also Sunny and Flat Lloyd have both put in information about the Canigou observations. Those are using
I'm looking at this picture here, and this doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know where this vantage point is supposedly from. Is this from sky, or is this from the top of a mountain?
Are you looking at the Catalina or the? Are you looking at the Catalina or the Canigou? What one are you looking at?
Oh, technically, Sunny on the Plain.
Yeah. Okay. So there's also a link there where you can read more about it, and that makes it easier to see those little labels. So this is 255 miles infrared image, Guinness World Book winning long distance photographers. That's what. And Flat Lloyd's is just another version of that same thing. So you're not going to see this on a globe.
But from that vantage point, it looks like this was taken in the sky, not from the land. So you're going to get a different view distance than you were going to be able to see from land.
If you go onto their website there, that's just one of their observation. There's a whole bunch of other observations. I don't think it's taken from the sky. What makes you think it's taken from the sky? I don't think so.
It's either taken from the sky or from another light vantage point. For instance, like I said, if you're at sea level and you look out over the ocean, your vantage point of the Earth's curvature at that point is only 20 miles that you can see supposedly from the drop-off. And the reason why I keep on saying things such as supposedly and using the words in my belief is because I don't want to tell you guys it's a fact and then you guys feel offended that I'm calling y'all dumb for not accepting it. So a lot of my words where I say belief and are just my ways of just saying, this. I have my belief system are in the facts, and there have been facts that have been given to me. But I don't want to say that and tell you guys that you're factually wrong, because I feel like there's a belief system that exists in this as well. The observational belief.
Where are you getting 20 miles from? Sorry.
It's just
where are you 20 miles from?
So there's a formula that you can use to determine the Earth's curvature based on the distance and perceived height level that you're at that you can use. I'll put it in here.
Oh yeah, Sunny on the Plain said Mount Canigou is taken from another mountain. No, 9,800 feet height. There should still be a mile of curvature blocking the view of Canada. So there you go. There's your answer of where it's taken from.
That's the formula that you can use. Actually, I'll just copy all this for you so you can see using based on the facts that were given to us. Excuse my language. And assuming that these are facts that we have no choice but to accept. Dang it. If we're assuming that, then that's where I get my distance in 20 feet is the drop off at which you would call it. So from a height distance at 20 miles out, that distance starts to drop at 266 feet relatively to 20 miles out. So if you were to shine a laser from that distance to hit a target that was 20 miles out, you would notice that from that same, if you started on a board that was 10 foot tall and you put that laser in, or excuse me, that was 50 foot tall, or excuse me, we didn't need something larger than 50 feet tall. We need something like 300 feet tall. If you were to put that at the bottom of a board that was 300 feet tall and shot 20 miles out, that laser point will wind up at 266.7 feet above the position at which it started. So that's what I mean by like height of 266 points. That's assuming that the land is perspective-wise flat and following the curvature of the Earth. So now if you're at the top of Mount Everest, though, that vantage point becomes something completely different. At the top of Mount Everest, your vantage point is then something like 220 miles out that you can see because you're at a higher elevation.
So you really don't see what I was trying to get at earlier, that you've admitted it several times that you're presupposing the globe, that you believe in the globe. Like, have you ever considered, like, if you are going to continue to debate this topic, have you ever considered, like, actually putting it to the side and considering that we don't live on the globe and accepting the Earth as it presents itself? Have you ever considered doing that?
I mean, I love science. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm a big sci-fi person. I don't think there'll ever be a chance where I'll ever be convinced that the Earth is 24/7 flat Earth. I like to give my arguments, and where somebody can give something else that's a valid argument against what I believe. I'm not here to say that you are wrong, but there are just things that I don't know that I don't have the answers for, and I can at least say that. I'll admit to when I don't have the answers to something. But when you have a mathematical structure that exists and understanding that there are multiple things at play here, like the laws of physics, the laws of gravity, the laws of, you have these things that are just true to science and nature, it begins to question, how can the Earth be flat? From a perspective point, yes. But overall,
just because it is, because that's how I get it. You're into sci-fi. You saying you love science and sci-fi, that told me everything I need to know. So thank you for answering my question. I mean, so you understand that what we're looking for here are empirical observations. I know it's been explained to you several times since you've been in here that this is a geometry question. It's not a science question, because, but if you were wanting to talk about science, then we would want to remain empirical and use the classical scientific method where you're testing a cause and effect relationship. I mean, I guess I shouldn't speak for everyone. I think that the so-called people who call themselves, scientists doing science, many of them are not. They are making conjectures, just like you did, usually with the presupposition of the globe, and they have gotten so far away from empirical science that it's an embarrassment to the term science. And it would be incredibly embarrassing, to the original thinkers who came up with a scientific method as a way to objectively test cause and effect relationships in our world in order to come up with an explanation of the objective reality that we actually observe.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Does anybody else have a question? We've got some new people that came in here. We've got, I don't know who we've got that's new. That's any of these people in here, Globe Believers? I don't know who Daz Waz is. Daz was, welcome. How are you? We're doing Ladies' Night here for another hour or so. I guess, Master A, you must be a Globe Believer. You can ask a question if you want. Kabuki, welcome. These are just people I haven't talked to before. Oh, some of these I've definitely talked to before. Maywen0102, Raiden, welcome back. Maybe you have new questions. One spliff a day. Outlaw. Do any of you guys have questions about Flat Earth Wanderer?
I do. I guess it's more of like a statement, but I'd like to hear your opinion on it. I said it in chat, but yeah, so you were just talking to CrewTwon about like when would he start believing in flat Earth or something like that, if I remember correctly.
Exactly.
Right. I think, in my opinion, I think flat Earth would be more credible if there's a consensus, but from what I've gathered, there's a lot of disagreement within the flat Earth community on what flat Earth actually is. Can you address that? Some people don't believe in the ice wall, or some people have a model and then other people don't ascribe to it. There's just a lot of disagreement. and like no true consensus on what flat Earth actually is. So I don't know.
Yeah, we're not the Borg. Yeah, I appreciate you recognizing that, Maywin, because sometimes people will come in here and they'll say, "Yeah, I just talked to you guys last week, and you said that, and now you're saying this." It's like, no, like we're made up of a bunch of independent individuals who have their own journey and ideas. And I guess, the faction, if you want to call it that, where you have landed,
Exactly.
are the groups. This is exactly, guys. This is cracking me up. Anyway, we are, yes, our faction, if you would like to call that, is the Let's Stick to Empirical Evidence faction. Yes. So flat earthers, if you lived in the time before the globe delusion was, widely propagated, it was first invented, of course, back with the Pythagorean cult. It was a cult mindset, an idea that the Greeks, some of the ancient Greeks religiously came up with because they believed in the sphere, and then they tried to push that on others. But, over the last 100, 200 years, it definitely gotten pushed more. But, before that, people would just be flat earthers because that's obviously our Earth is flat stationary. So, it's the same thing now. Like, just because a person figures out that the Earth measures flat doesn't mean that they're going to agree on all kinds of other things. We agree that there's no globe, right? So we are not a unified organization. That's right. We have no leader, but we do agree on that one thing, and that's really all we need to agree on. It's our mission, it's our focus, it's why we're here. We believe it's important for the world to be able to start using their brains again, which a good start toward doing that would be to get rid of all this pseudoscientific nonsense. I mean, maybe then we would have more people out there doing real scientific experiments, discovering things about their world, exploring the world and so on its own terms, learning things. And that's what a lot of people are doing. So yeah, we don't expect people to agree with us on anything else, really. I mean, we're just that there's not a globe. Yep. There you go. Is that a good answer for you, Maywin? Did you like that one?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fine, but that's kind of a problem I have with the flat Earth community. Like, if the thing with globers is that people who are well versed in what the globe is, they're all at a fairly strong consensus. You probably wouldn't find much people would disagree about within that group, but there's just so much that flat earthers disagree about or don't know about each other's position that it's kind of hard to if I if I was wondering about vaccines, and I would go to multiple scientists.
Oh my gosh, we're not doing that. We already brought that up earlier. That's not. I don't know why that's all of a sudden the topic for tonight. Yeah, we're not talking about that. Who else is speaking up there? Hello, yes.
It's me. I gotta go. I just want to tell you guys I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. You have a good night.
CrewTwon, yes, come back anytime. Yes, thank you for being so
back. Y'all can't keep me away. I might not agree with you guys, but I like to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, I'm sure these guys want to jump on you with your formula. Yes, come back in an hour if you feel like it, because I know they want to dissect your little formula there, so you'll have a good time. You could go over that for 5 hours, and I'm sure you'd have a great time. So definitely come back.
I'll be back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't know if any other ladies have input about that question. I mean, I thought my answer was fine. We all agree that there's no globe. I don't know. What else is there? That's why we're here. Does anybody else have a question? Yeah, I saw you in there asking in the text about if we liked Eric Dubé's 200 Proofs. Was that you that asked that, Maywin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else wants to talk about that, because I read those a long time ago. I printed them off and I looked at them, and I remember liking them at the time. I should go and look at them again and see what I think about them now. I probably would like some of them more than others, would be my guess. And when I've heard other flat earthers talk about it, I think that's been their take on it too. That, but that's true with any, if you're going to have 200 proofs of something, some of them are obviously going to be stronger than other ones, right? That's just the nature of the beast.
Who's the most representative of your faction? On YouTube, I guess.
We shouldn't have called it a faction. That was my word. Now you're going to call it a faction. I don't know if we are.
Just the position, just that flat Earth exists, but they don't ascribe to any sort of model.
Gosh, everybody that's in here. Have you ever heard anyone in here present a model to you?
Yeah, no, I'm saying you guys don't present a model.
Yeah. So that's the position. That's right.
Yeah. So is there there's people, there's flat earthers on YouTube who have a model, right? So is there anyone who doesn't anyone who represents this position well, where it's just flat Earth and there's no model thing?
Most of the guys in here, maybe all of them. I'm not going to sit here and grade everybody, but like I said, I've never heard anybody in these channels, these particular channels, claim a model. So they all hold to that position very well, which is the only position to have. So have you ever heard of the Flat Earth Society, May Wen?
No. Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's good news that first you hadn't, because it used to be like talked about a lot. Like now people like really don't talk about it anymore. I think it's been discredited, which is wonderful, celebration, because it used to be people thought the Flat Earth Society was there to promote the idea that the globe was a lie and to explain about how the Earth measures flat. But then it came to be very obvious that that was not their intention. And in fact, I ran into them when I was first searching this, and they confused me. They have these little forums that I used to go to, and they'd occasionally have like a decent thought question in there, but their main activity of all the like main people that hung out there was arguing over models. I think it's this model. Here's the new model I thought of. Oh, how about this model? Why is that a problem? I know that you're not going to really get why it's a problem, Maywen, but it's a problem. So it's a celebration that we've gotten to this point where we're not doing that, because we are just disproving a false model. So there's no reason for us to replace that model with another model that is going to be flawed by definition, because the Earth is such a complex system and we're not able to go to the outer limits of it. So we cannot come up with a comprehensive model. And why would we? We just work so hard every day, like we just did with this, just trying to show them there's no curvature measured anywhere. There's no spinning measured anywhere, like that's just a full-time job. We don't need to be like doing other stuff. It's a waste of time.
I don't think it is.
I know you don't, because you're a globe believer. You love models, right? You want to have an explanation that, and many people, and I guess if you're going to force me to comment on the phenomenon, I would say it's sad that many people do jump right from the globe model to another rigid, fundamentalist, mind-numbing belief in a model or whatever else. I mean, it's not necessarily a model. There's many flat Earth Pied Pipers who will lead people, right off the flat cliff, just right onto just another rigid belief system that's going to limit them and have them just following an authority figure instead of learning how to figure out the world for themselves. So if you insist on me commenting about it, there's my comment. Did any other ladies have a comment on that? Lifologist, Minerva, Jenna's mom. Nope, guess they're going to stay quiet. Okay, I don't know if you got any other questions. We've got Raiden. We've got one spliff a day. Are you there, one spliff? Did you have any questions about Flat Earth? I've never talked to you before, so I don't know if you're new here.
No, I'm good.
Okay, well, welcome. Thank you for speaking up to say hello.
I would like to say I like old dude's model.
I'll see what I'll do put in there. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yes. People used to post that all the time. Yeah. That's good, old dude. Thank you for putting that in there. I guess Luke's listening to me somewhere because he's addressing me. Why don't you just come in and talk to me, woman to man there, Luke? Oh, yeah. You're so shocked. Like, why don't you just come in? Maybe they banned you. I don't know. Yeah. Thanks for insulting me. I appreciate it. That's like some of the things I've learned the most are from people like you, like who just like throw random insults at me because they're really like triggered and upset by me. Like, I didn't used to be that way. I don't know if you ladies have any experience with this, but like I used to be a real people pleaser. And then I found out that like, because then random people would like attack me and be like, what is going on here? What have I done? When did I claim I was this thing? You say I claimed it, but I'm not. I'm like, gosh, where is this coming from? But then I realized like, I could be the villain in their eyes and it's fine. You know what I mean? Like they need that. Like Luke is calling me the villain there in his DM. He says I'm a horrible person, etc. And he's doing it in the YouTube comments. I know because other people have tagged me in it. So, Luke needs to be angry about me, and I'm going to let you do that, Luke. And it's not going to change who I am. It's not going to change the truth that the Earth measures flat and there's no globe. So, if you're willing to become the villain for people, like you can get way more done. I'm just here to tell you, because
Dandelion.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. People can't deal with reality and the truth.
That's right, pathologist. Yeah.
Nor change either.
Yes, I think change is the big thing. I think you are. Oh, Luke says, please read my DM to the room. Oh, I'd be thrilled. I didn't want to do that because, it is DM, but you're also commenting publicly about me on YouTube. He wants to share me to share the full context if I'm going to represent him. No problem. Yep, I will read the entire thing. Of course. Okay, we'll go back to the beginning. 3:43 p.m. Oh gosh, I didn't even. He insulted me back on May 17th. I didn't even notice that. Thanks, Luke. I triggered him back 4 days ago. You're an evil person. Please don't do what you're doing. You're hurting people. Please consider that you are not engaging with intellectual honesty. You are attempting to assert necessary requirements from others to provide evidence, but you are being a horrible person guised in a sweet-sounding woman. Your method for this is bullshit. Bull, period, shit, period. That was 17th then. I did not see that, Luke, but I wouldn't have responded anyway, so it really doesn't matter. May 21st, 10:07 p.m. I think you're a nice lady, like you're able to be a nice lady, but you are so evil and ignorant. It really shocks me how you can be so pleasant, but so ignorant to reality. Like, it appears incredibly crazy, ... Even more crazy than me randomly messaging you to tell you this. I am shocked. 10:08 p.m. You would be correct. Slight smiley face. Please read my DM to the room. If you would like to represent me, I don't mind you sharing the full context to the room. Please read the full message. All right, you guys have heard it all from Luke.
He was better off with you not reading that out loud.
I know. That's why I didn't do it at first. I was not wanting to, be rude, right? Robnoxious gets it.
Daddy, I want to be naughty.
Do you have a question about the globe, Rob? I like Flatloyd's comment, the diaries of a trapped globie. That's good.
I don't know much.
Who said they don't know much? Is that Robnoxious or somebody else?
Can you tell me a story about the flat Earth?
All stories are on Flat Earth.
I love your voice.
Well, probably somebody else should talk to then because I just told you I prefer to be the villain. I much prefer to be the villain, right, Raiden? Didn't I explain that? You understand? You're Superman. Yeah.
I do. Are you well tonight?
Yeah. I am. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really good. I had this really amazing cup of tea right before I came into Discord. My son had lemon ginger. I had raspberry leaf. It was good.
No, I like your voice. I wanted to ask you, this doesn't really have anything to do with Flat Earth. Have you ever thought about doing radio?
No, really? No, because I'm not into that kind of thing. I mean, the job that I'm doing, I prefer.
Oh, you do have the perfect voice, by the way.
You would have been big in the 90s.
A great voice for radio, by the way.
Well, if somebody wants to start a Flat Earth radio station, I mean, actually, I was watching Northern Exposure. Have you ever watched Northern Exposure, Raiden?
I have.
Did you watch all of it, or just a little bit here and there?
Just a little bit here and there.
Yeah. Because I saw, I actually had the DVDs because it used to be, it wasn't on any streaming services. Now I think they have it on Amazon Prime. But anyway, I did a watch of the entire series. And it was great. Oh, it's because I was living in this cabin with no internet. That's right. That's what I was doing then. That's right. And so that was
probably one of the best TV shows ever.
Oh, who said that?
Robnoxious.
Oh my gosh, we agree on something. How many
seasons of that? How many seasons do they have?
Was it 6 seasons? It was the last 2 seasons everybody didn't like, but I still watched them.
6?
I think so. I'm pretty sure that's true. I don't know. I'll look it up. Just I don't want to say something that's not right.
I remember the main guy was the Dodger, right?
Yep, Northern Exposure.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So 6 seasons. I was right. 6 seasons.
Flat Earth males, be quiet.
Oh yeah, we're doing Ladies' Night. You probably didn't know that, but anyway, I was bringing that for a reason. Anyway, yes. When I was watching that was one of the times when I couldn't really come to Discord Flat Earth because I was like I told you I didn't have Wi-Fi, and I was thinking the guy who has the radio show. Is his name Chris? I can't remember. It's been a while, but anyway, that kind of reminded me of Discord. I don't know, just the whole show kind of reminded me of it, but it made me think of how we're kind of this weird radio show, and with a lot of interesting characters in it. So, yep, it's a good show.
Girl,
you should watch the rest of it, Raiden. But I don't know. People didn't like season 5 and 6. I can't remember why, but definitely seasons 1 through 3 are really good, especially season 3. I think it was the finale of season 3 that I really liked. I haven't gotten to that on my second rewatch.
Remember the bear?
Tell me about the bear.
It was a fuzzy bear.
So, Robnoxious and I have agreed on 2 things. This is the one. The season 3 finale of Northern Exposure, titled Sicily, is a standout episode that tells the story of the town's founding in the early 1900s. Yeah, that is a hilarious episode. I got to watch that one again.
Graham Greene, the guy that he's in that. Dude, he's played an Indian in just about every freaking show ever.
There's always so many Indians.
That guy's great. I love that guy. Yep, he is great. Yep, he's that kind of teenager. Yeah, guy that he first meets on the road in first episode. I feel bad. I'm not a good fan. I can't remember his name either. It's been so long.
Remember the Indian in Poltergeist?
I never actually watched that. I don't know anything about that besides just the little kids staring at the screen, you know what I mean, like that kind of image from it. I don't really know anything about that.
He was the medicine man in
Josie Wales. Josie Wales. Yeah, Chief Dan George, I believe his name is.
He's in a lot. He was the Dances with Wolves, the guy that he always talked to.
Yep, and he was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He's the big Indian who tore out the sink and threw it through the window.
Holy crap, he's been in everything, man.
Yeah.
So Robnoxious, I wanted to ask you, so we agreed on 2 things. 1, Luke shouldn't have asked me to read that DM out loud.
And
2, was Northern Exposure is a great show, right? And then 3 is going to be There's No Globe, right?
You broke up on the last. I didn't hear the last one. You said 3 what?
There is no globe.
Something's wrong. I'm gonna check my mic real quick.
Yeah, Rob. Don't you know that the radius value has been repeatedly falsified, and that there's nothing that can save you? Nothing can save your mind ball now. It's gone.
Oh, here comes the best friend.
What keeps you on the globe?
My love for spherosity.
Your love for balls.
I mean, I feel like these people who are willing to admit it's an emotional attachment and they can't handle reality I feel like that's progress. It's, at least you're moving past the denial stage. Yeah.
This is like walking into the asylum and the patients have the white coats on and shit. This is so awesome. I love it here.
Yeah. See, but if you were in the asylum, I don't know if we would in our therapy sessions, would we try to get you off the globe, exactly. Or would we just, I don't know. Yeah. Would we just medicate you, and send you to a checkers night,
shock therapy.
You guys are going to love this. Maywin is in the chat saying that the air is composed of multiple mediums. What?
Can you make proof for
why it's one? Understands. Yeah, the air is one medium. Water is a totally other medium.
Where's the proof? Or citation? I mean, you can say I've lost my mind, but I'm just curious. I just want to see a citation.
That's absolutely bonkers.
Just give me a citation, please.
The air is the air. The water is the water. You can have refraction through 2 mediums, right? Air is a singular medium, and for you to try to argue this is just a cope.
Okay, actually, no. What's the definition of a medium first?
The definition of medium, you don't know it?
Can you tell me?
A medium would be something like water or air, where things can move, experience buoyancy or density through these mediums. Notice that when you're talking about air and water, you say mediums, plural, because they're 2 different mediums.
Yeah, if you just want me to read you the definition, I mean, there's many definitions of medium, but you're looking for the intervening substance through which impressions are conveyed to the senses, or force acts on objects at a distance. That's Oxford Dictionary. There's a bunch of other ones.
Right.
Yeah.